I'm recording a video right now in part because my voice is quite relaxed and I like the sound of my voice when it's relaxed. I don't think it's quite as relaxed as it was half an hour ago when I finished the breathwork session that I had just done, but it's still quite relaxed. And what's on my mind is how there can be a temptation after any transformational experience. These experiences tend to get you in a state that's not the state you'll be in forever, but maybe shows you something, some new possibility. And there's a sense of like, I want to be in that state forever. I want to experience that, relaxed throat, or that group consciousness, or that open-heartedness. I want to experience that all the time. And in most cases, it's not that that's not possible, because it absolutely is. It's just usually, first of all, a lot more work than we sort of think that it might be. And also the nature of that work is often different than we think it is. I just wrote in my journal just now, like, how can I get my throat to be relaxed more often? And then I was kind of like thinking about a whole arc I've been on about allowing. And I was like, maybe it's more about allowing my throat to be more relaxed. And so that's a huge part of this stuff, is like recognizing that the thing in the way is not getting more motivation or more more committing to the new thing, more gusto. Sometimes it is more practice. I mean, sometimes, like I bet if I did more sessions of breath work, my throat would overall, have some sort of different experience. But even there, it's possible that I could do 100 sessions, and if I don't address some part of me that in day-to-day life thinks that holding my throat tense is the only way to keep people from judging me or something like that, perhaps some part of me thinks that if I let my voice come out clearly or something, then people will, I'll be too arrogant, or I'll be too cocky, or I'll be too big, or something like that, right? And so, no amount of practicing relaxing it is going to solve the internal conflict that's there. It might bring that conflict to the surface and allow it to be worked with. I might notice, actually, it doesn't seem that is the case. But you have to inhabit it to find out. So I've been thinking about this recently with respect to not my throat so much as what's at the center of my work, which is this collective consciousness thing, group synergy, and so forth. And I've been thinking about how I have this deep sense of like wanting to experience that all the time. I want to be in a mode myself that has that synergic learning quality to it, and I want to be inhabiting that mode with other people, because it's such a beautiful thing to share with other people. And someone asked me this morning if there might be a hungry ghost quality to that, like something that's grasping for something that's not actually there, or not achievable, or I associate it with a kind of desperation. And in the desperation is a denial of what's already there, or something like that. And my sense is that there has been some elements like that for me, that I've been kind of desperate to experience that all the time. And I've been kind of exploring where that comes from. And one of the things that I noticed in the last couple of weeks is that when I oriented to this whole project that I'm embarking on, have been embarking on for years, this whole project of creating consistent group flow, I've noticed over the last few weeks that there's been part of me that sort of has this sense of like, it's right there, we can do it, we're almost there. And one of the reasons why it's so easy to think that is that in some sense that's like clearly true, because any moment that texture of experience is possible. Like, it is sort of right around the corner. Not unlike how I could have gone many more weeks without my throat sort of becoming relaxed, but all it took was an hour of breathwork journey to soften it up. But this is also kind of illusory, because it didn't take just an hour of breathwork journey to permanently give me an entirely, completely different relationship with my throat forever in all contexts, et cetera, in a kind of self-correcting way. And likewise, while tastes of group synergy are right there, they're incredibly close, and they always are in some sense in every moment, organizing one's consciousness and organizing a culture or a group or team to be consistently generating and accessing those is, it turns out, as far as I can tell, a completely different kind of project. And the analogy I came to yesterday is that, like, getting a taste is almost like, you drive your car to the drive-in theater and you're watching some movie and it's a documentary and you're seeing the mountains or something like that. But in order to go to the mountains, you have to back your car out of the theater and leave the theater and go drive to the mountains. And no amount of kind of staying there looking at the screen is going to get you closer to the mountains. Like, it's a fundamentally different motion that you have to do. You can beg the theater to put that film on nonstop, but that's still not the mountains. That I don't like the analogy perfectly. I mean, there's a few things I don't like about it. One is that, like, the taste of it is more of a real taste than simply the view of the mountains is of the mountains. It is a prototype. It is a real phenomenon. I mean, maybe another analogy would be like, suppose you go up one hill and you're like, wow, I've got such an amazing view. I want to climb mountains and get an even better view. It's like, well, you know what step one is? Climb back down that hill. You can't climb up an even taller hill until you've gone down off the first one. Now, what does any of that mean? How does it map on? I'm not sure. But there's something there, and so I've been coming to a space of humility that's sort of recognizing, like, oh, maybe this is way harder than I thought. And can I accept that? Is sort of the question that's present for me. And do I still want to work on it if it's that much harder? If it's 10 times as hard as I thought, or something like that. And how does that affect how I would work on it? I think that's even the bigger question, because overall, it's not like this has just been a slog that's been not sort of feeling not worth it, except for the eventual payoff. There have been moments that have felt like that, but overall, there's been tremendous joy and ecstasy for me in the experience of getting into places of collective flow with people. And I would love to be doing that wherever it goes, wherever it takes me, whether it achieves the thing I feel would be so rich, you know, next year or in the next decade or in my lifetime. In some sense, no, I just want to do it anyway. But having a sense of, like, having a more calibrated sense of how hard it is, what kind of challenge it is, feels really meaningful for and important for doing that work. So that I'm not fooling myself or others with desperation that we're going to figure out something really soon, um, and creating a kind of um, um, urgency, emergency feeling based on that. Um, yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just really trying to listen to myself, listen to parts of me that don't get or don't feel sort of, how would I put it? It was going to be something like, don't get the core stuff of the work that I've been doing, which in part is all about listening to everything. So there's a kind of irony there. There's a sense in which I actually really can't do the work that I want to do without listening to all of that, now that I know that it's there. Um, and also, yeah, listening to any doubts I have about that work and how it can or must work, um, because those doubts all contain wisdom. They all contain some sort of thing that I know, and as long as they're still sitting there as doubts, they're not actually integrated into my plan, in a certain sense. Although they're more integrated now that I'm even just going, oh yeah, there's doubts there. Okay, that's important to keep track of. Like, that's already a huge step. Yeah. There's no way to know which way to go before I get to the crossroads, so I better go slow. There's no way to see which future it will be. I guess I've gotta find it. I've gotta find it in me. There's no way to answer the question you haven't learned to ask. There's no way to get there by trying to go through the past. But there is an answer to who I am. The answer is listening, listening, so I am.